And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the John Lavenia Success Mastermind for a Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. I'm your guy for today, Glen Henderson, and I am first of all, we always like to get the housekeeping out of the way right off the bat. So you are part right now of the sort of continuing schedule for today. We've had it's St. Patrick's Day. It's St. Patrick's Day, isn't it? Uh,
Yes.
yes, indeed. So just so you know, I do not currently own any pink clothing. I also, more to the point of the day, I don't actually own any green clothing either. I may need to go and buy something next year. We'll see what happens. Anyway, um, general session where we are right now, hospitality suite. After this, of course, please feel free to jump in on the hospitality suite, swing by and say hi. I will not be there because at 1 o'clock Houston time, I will be sitting in a chair while my dentist plants her foot in my chest and takes the hammer and chisel to me. And so it should be a fun afternoon. Yeah, okay, more about that in a second. We're on with the schedule. Books for Britain at 3 p.m. Eastern with our good friend, Mandy Anderson, Life and Business Tools this afternoon, this evening, 6 p.m. East with Adrian Garner. And I'll be back tonight, 9 Eastern, Networking Magic with me, with yours truly, and we'll be continuing our look at the laws of stratospheric success from our guy Bob Berg and the Go Giver. Now, who's here? Who is here with us? Jody. Now, see, Jody gave me one of those weird looks when I was talking about the fun times at the dentist. Like, seriously, man, fun. Come
The
on, bro.
dentist is your friend.
See,
I'm sorry she puts a foot in your chest.
I'm weird because I must be like an alien or something. I actually enjoy going to the dentist. How strange is anyway. Janet, nice to see you, and Ali and Joseph, you've changed. Let your hair grow a little. How you doing, Carl and Daisy Coral? Giovanna's left palm. Oh, there you are. Nice to see you, Giovanna and Ace. Suzanne, Linda Landry, Sandra, John Apogee. That's a nice picture, brother. Like that. Ace and Virginia. Let's see who else is here. Oh, it's the Money Mama. How do, Lindsay? Good to see you. Sandy Lewis is here, and Ego, and of course, he who must not sleep. It is always great to see you, Ivier, and the man, the myth, the legend, or at least the image of the legend, our very good friend, the Godzilla of personal growth, Father John Lavenia, is with us today. I say, Father, consider it a St. Patrick's Day field promotion. And it's nice to see you. Yeah, we are in the middle of listing our house, getting ready to sell. And I think I'd mentioned this before. I love new stuff. And we've got a guy here doing some repairs and, touching up some stuff, changing the floor in one of the bathrooms and everything. And our house is going to look even more like the show place that it is. We really have been very pleased with this joint. And we have a strategy. Uh, why we're moving. So those of you who follow the real estate market may be aware the estate market for our British friends, the real estate market here in the U.S. You may be aware that in the city of Houston at the moment, it is an absolute seller's market. It has to do largely with the great freeze of about a month ago, and so many houses, it's an unfortunate sort of benefit, sort of a silver lining in the cloud. So many houses were damaged during the freeze, pipes burst and all sorts of repairs needing to be done, that there's almost no inventory of houses available for sale. So realtors are literally calling around town to people they know or people they met. Hey, listen, have you ever even thought of selling your house? Call me. I can get you a phenomenal price. And so we decided that after thinking about it and going back and forth, now's a good time. So we're going to sell this house and move into something slightly smaller with a somewhat lower mortgage and knock some things off and prepare ourselves to build our dream retirement. Thank you, honey. Dream retirement home, which is coming. And oh boy, wait till you see the pictures of that. It's going to be great. So we're kind of living in a museum at this point. A lot of our stuff is in boxes and everything. And so it's an interesting adventure. And I'll keep you posted as things go. Our realtor, easy for you to say, Glenn. Our realtor told us that we have a good chance of selling very quickly. She said she'd put one house up on the market recently in right around in our price range. And she had an offer in 18 hours. So keep your fingers crossed. We'll let you know. Now, so great to see all of you. A few more have joined us. Nicola, Toba, thank you so much. Julia, there you go. Now then, I was to our topic of the day, and I think I had mentioned just before we started, might actually get sort of semi halfway serious here, and please try not to cry as we're talking these things through. So I was watching Star Trek recently, which I never do. It was just very strange. Janet is shocked. What, you were what, Star Trek? You? Come on, man, that never happens. So yes, I was watching Star Trek. In this case, particularly, uh-oh. Hang on one second. My wife just sent me a note, a text message. We have hail falling here. Big storm and hailstones, which means I may be getting some repairs done on the truck soon enough. I'll let you know. So I was watching Star Trek, specifically an episode from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Any familiarity with these guys? Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Commander William Riker and Data, the android who wishes to be human, and Worf, the first and only Klingon to serve in Starfleet. What's a Klingon? Well, that's another story for another day. And the episode that I was drawn to this morning was an episode called Half a Life. Sandy digs on some Next Generation. Nice. It took me a while to really get into it, to get into the Next Generation for a variety of reasons. And now I regard it almost as highly as I regard the original series. I'll put it to you that way. But anyway, Half a Life is the name of the episode. And I'll lay out the story right quick, what happened and what it means and what it meant to me and maybe the lesson to take from it, right? So the Enterprise goes to this planet called Kalon 2. By the way, you may want to jot down notes and the names and the planet. There will be a quiz later. Kalon 2. Kalon 2's sun is about to collapse, and so obviously it wreaks havoc on the ecosystem of the planet and everything, and the entire population of the world is in danger, and the Enterprise is called in to investigate and help as they can, and they start to work with a man by the name of Timison. He's you could call him an astrophysicist. He's a Dr. Timison, who's been laboring for years examining the science and experimenting and trying to come up with a way to essentially reactivate their sun before it collapses. So he goes to work with the Enterprise's chief engineer, Geordi LaForge. You may remember him with the visor. So he sees in all sorts of wild colors and more accurately than you and I with our human eyes. And he's working with LaForge and Data, and they're conducting different experiments and tests and so forth. And then they reach their success. They go to like a distant world that's a completely uninhabited solar system. They find sort of a rogue star, if you know what I mean, and they conduct their tests and they fire different things into the star and trying to bring its temperature back up, and it works for a moment. And then the readings start to fluctuate, and the experiment is not successful. Very disappointing, but they've been able to gather valuable data and results, and then now they can go back and recalibrate the systems and retry the experiment on the next stop. Well, now actually, wait a minute, they can't do it because Henderson, the astrophysicist from the planet, he has to go back. He has to return to his planet to die. But he's healthy, he's vital, vigorous man, but he's got to go back and die. Literally, specifically, he has to go back to his planet and commit suicide, ritual suicide. Why? Because on this planet, it is part of their liturgy, it is part of their tradition, it is part of their culture that all inhabitants of the planet, once they reach the age of 60, must perform something that they call the resolution. That is, it's a ritual suicide, and you are surrounded by your family and your loved ones, and they call it, they think of it as a celebration of life, a passing on of wisdom, a passing on of responsibility for the next generation, passing on the culture and the responsibility to the children, to the next generation. Timmerson is persuaded by another member of the Enterprise family, you would say, to protest, to rebel against this. And so he requests asylum aboard the Enterprise so that he can continue his work. A series of things happen, and the government of the planet refuses to talk to him. He tries to send them the updated results of his research. They don't want to hear it. Your work is done, Timmerson. It's time to come home and perform the resolution. Ultimately, he does go back. The person who was trying to influence him is a woman named Loxana Troy, Deanna Troy's mother, who is very, very flighty and a very flamboyant character. This whole thing of like, you got to commit suicide when you're 60 years old, it's kind of strange and very personal and painful to Loxana, because she's right around that age and feeling very vulnerable and very personally affronted, personally wounded by this, because since when do people lose their effect? Since when do people not have an influence in society once they reach the age of 60? You're just supposed to go away, go off and die? I couldn't do that, Loxana says. And her daughter, Deanna says something very interesting to her in this conversation. She says, Mother, and this was one of the things that I've taken from this episode. She says, Mother, you will never be one of those who dies before they die. The idea being, my life has been so full, Loxana says. My life has been so rich. I can't imagine just stopping and going off to die somewhere. Loxana says, that'll never happen to you. You will never be one of those who dies before they die. You picking up what Deanna's putting down? We'll get to that in a minute. Then Timmerson goes back to the planet. and he finally agrees to the resolution in keeping with his planet's culture. But what I found interesting about this episode is two things. Number one, what Deanna said to her mother, you will never be one of those who dies before they die. What are you waiting for? Is the point. What are you waiting for? Things you want to, you got a bucket list? I'm gonna call somebody. Raise your hand if you have or have ever thought about compiling a bucket list. Stuff you want to accomplish in your life, things you want to do, adventures you want to take. Okay, great. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Live. Live your life. So there's that. The other thing, I don't know why this came to me as a result of during this episode. I was put in mind of the thought of finding one's purpose. This man, Timison, lived his entire life, essentially worked his entire life as a scientist, his purpose being to find a way to help save his planet. Look, are you and I going to be in a position to save planet Earth? Geez, I don't know. You can save your corner of it. You can brighten your corner of it. And here's how. I think it was Mark Twain that said, and you may have heard me mention this before. Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. So why were you born? Now we really get into it. What is your purpose? I'm going to have a sip of my cup of coffee in. What's your purpose? No, I didn't ask you what you do for a living. I didn't ask you what your hobbies are. What's your purpose? Why are you here on this beautiful blue ball? It's a fairly deep question, and it took me, give or take, about 60 years to finally figure out my purpose, to achieve complete clarity on my purpose in life. I mean, I've suspected in the past, based on aspects of jobs that I've had and the aspects of different jobs and different careers which I enjoyed the most, gave me clues concerning my purpose. What I found out, and what is now crystal clear to me, you may have heard me mention this before, my purpose in life, I am a connector. I connect with people. It is my purpose in life to connect with people, to connect people with each other, and to connect people with their purpose, to help other people discover their purpose. And if I can, connect them with the means and the resources to achieve their highest purpose. So that's my purpose in life. I am a connector. What's yours? If you know, if you are at this moment completely clear on your purpose in life, feel free to drop it in the chat if you like. That might be interesting to see. Maybe we'll talk about it, and when we get into the interactive portion of this. The point is, have you experienced the second most important day in your life? Actually, I would argue it is the most important day in your life. The second most important day being the day you were born. First, the most important day in your life, the day you find out why. So, what's your purpose? Not what do you want to do for a living, not how do you pay the bills. Why are you here? Figure it out. Figure that out. It takes introspection. It takes, in my case, a good deal of honesty with myself. And I think it may very well take for you the willingness to release things, to release from your life certain things that do not align with your purpose. Oh my gosh, I can't really get clear on exactly what I'm meant to do, because if I actually know, if I'm clear on what I'm supposed to do, why I'm on this earth, what my purpose, then that will mean I have to get rid of some other stuff that's taking me away or diverting me from that. And that thing's kind of fun. That other thing that I know is not aligned with who I am and why I'm here. I would offer to you that the sooner we can get crystal clear on our purpose, the less confusion we will have in our lives, the fewer decisions we have to make. I heard somebody say today on another, like I was watching a TED talk or something, said part of the power of making a decision about something is that once you've made a decision, you never have to think about that thing again. It's going to streamline a whole bunch of your life's activities. Once you get real clear about what you're meant to do, okay, now does this activity align with my purpose in life? Um, and it just occurs to me that sitting around watching TV for hours aligns with almost no one's purpose in life, unless you're a TV critic. But that's another conversation. What is so figure out who you are, figure out who you are, figure out what your purpose is, figure out why you're here, and then start living your purpose now. As in, what are you waiting for? Those things on your bucket list? How many of them are in alignment with your purpose? Start doing them now. Not next year, not in 6 months when I've got that income together, not 2 years from now after I've retired from my job and now I have more time. And what are you waiting for? Again, I go back to the example of Timothy. So much more he wanted to accomplish, needed to accomplish in his life. But he had a hard expiration date. The good news is you and I don't have a hard expiration date. Well, we do, we just don't know when it is. And because we don't know when it is, we don't know when our number is going to be called, we are wonderfully free to live, because we here in the John Lavenia Success Mastermind will never be among those who die before they die. So flip it around. Find your purpose and live. Oh boy, that was really a very encouraging and uplifting message that came to me this morning. And I figured, and I realized we ain't got no time to waste. Well, Ego has this wonderful plaque behind her in her office. Maybe it's just like stenciled right onto the wall. It says, "Time is precious. Waste it wisely." How cool is that? Time is precious. Waste it wisely. Why are you here? Figure it out and go live it, starting today. So that's me. That's what was coming up for me. What's interesting, whenever I'm thinking through and kind of working on stuff to share with you in these general sessions, a lot of the times the thing that comes for me to share comes almost at the last minute. And I think it's because I take in so much information, so much input all the time, taking in the wisdom of the ancients and taking in the wisdom of Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Captain James T. Kirk and Mr. Spock and everybody else and Morpheus and Neo. And, most of what you hear me say that sounds wise and cool, I probably stole from either a book or a movie. There are no original thoughts. The trick is just think them again. All the original thoughts have already been, you see what I mean? So anyway, I tend to keep myself sort of open to influences. Something occurs to me, yes, that's what I need to share with us today. And hopefully these messages are of some value to you, to us. And hey, again, one last time, we are not among those who die before they die. Let me hear from you. You've heard from me long enough. Somebody put your hand up. I know there's a couple of people who have comments about this, and I'm reminded again of our fearless leader, because this dude, John, and no, I'm not calling you out. You got to say something right now, John. Don't worry. This dude, as far as I can see, has discovered his purpose. For John, it seems to me, and he may share differently, it seems to me that John's purpose is to raise the prosperity consciousness quotient of the planet, to give people, to help people build and grow a prosperity mindset and a sense, an impression of increase, right? And I've heard him say this before too, and I love this. We are here, among other purposes, to rehabilitate, to reactivate cause in the lives of people who have forgotten how powerful we are. So listen, you all know me, I can keep talking Star Trek all afternoon. So somebody's got to put their hand up at some point. I did had a conversation with a guy, Ali, right on time. You've saved me from going off on another tangent. How are you, Ali?
No, don't go off on another tangent. This is so perfect. And the timing is just unbelievable. I was just talking with my lovely ladies this afternoon about this in my accountability group. I think it's an area that I'm struggling with to find my true purpose in life. And for that reason, I've been looking at all sorts of different things and then just getting overwhelmed. And so actually, just after I spoke to my group this afternoon, I wrote down all the things that I was doing. And there were 10 different areas that I was trying to make work in my life, just purely in work, not personal or whatever, but just purely work, which just is just way, way, way too many. So I've honed that down to 2, which is good. But that's something slightly separate to just the real purpose, one's actual real purpose on this planet. So yes, that's something that I am having to look at very carefully now. And I think, and as well what you said about there's no time to lose, there is no time to lose. Both my parents died very suddenly, and they just, well, you just never know what's around the corner. So absolutely got to get on with it and live our lives that we want to live. And there's things that I could do now which I've kind of put on, yes, when I get this, when I get that, when I have this amount of income, I'll buy that or whatever. But there are things that can really enhance my life, which is about putting priority onto it. I've not, some of my priorities has not been, I might prioritize something that is insignificant in my life. Yet if I just changed my priorities in terms of spending, then I could really spend on something that is really going to enhance my life. So yeah, thank you, Glenn. Very interesting.
Thank you, Ali. I think it's an enormous accomplishment what you've done already. You have streamlined from 10 priorities to 2. Most people never get there. Most people never get to that point. They kind of wander around in some sort of state of confusion or misdirection, which can only lead to mediocrity in everything. You see, lack of focus, we end up not accomplishing anything. What's the old saying? The fox that chases 2 rabbits catches none, or something like that. So you are well on your way. Nicely done. You just excellent. Hey, let us know when you achieve clarity, that final clarity. Love to hear it. Suzanne, how are you? What's happening?
Good, thank you. I used to love Star Trek.
What do you mean used to? Come on.
No, I know. I kind of fell out of it all a bit, but I used to love it. Yeah, Ali, I totally hear you. Obviously, we spoke earlier. And when I started this whole journey, it was because of Amazon. And, I was very excited and everything. And this whole, what's your why? What's your why? That's when I started struggling. And I have my product up. I followed, the guidelines, and I got my product up. But it's not fulfilling. And my why, when my why came up, I thought it's not doing anything for anybody. So unless I come up with a brand I want to build that I feel does really give people purpose in life, I'll sort of see how I go with that. But I have found my why. I have found what I want to do, and I am pursuing that. And it's something that I have done, have loved, have seen it have positive benefits for women. Sorry, it's mostly for women. And that's the way I'm going, down that road.
This is really interesting to me, Suzanne. I have a question. A question comes up for me, maybe 2 questions. Do you remember the moment? Was there a moment when ding, the light came on and yes, this is my purpose. This is my why. Was there such a moment for you?
There was. I couldn't say, it was 4 weeks ago on a Tuesday afternoon, but there was a kind of this is what I should be doing. I needed to, it's something I did before, and I needed to take it obviously from 1-to-1, which is very tricky at the moment. And I needed to take the whole business online. I need to update myself on a few aspects. But there was a real, I have it all here. It's all here. I just need to move it, tweak it, and run with it.
People refer to that moment by so many different names. I've heard it called an epiphany. I've heard it called a Damascus Road experience by some of our friends of faith, and I've heard it called a paradigm shift, an aha moment, a light bulb moment. Boy, that people. I do have one other question for you, Suzanne. People, and you, when you've had one, you know it, and you never forget it. So the question I have for you, Suzanne, is how did you feel? What feelings did you experience at that moment? How did it change your thinking, your mindset, your emotional state? What happened?
It was a massive relief. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It was like the light at the end of the tunnel suddenly got bigger. It was all positive. The clarity. I had clarity.
like the clouds fell away.
The sea parted.
The sea. Are you all picking up on this? Are you catching this? The miracle of clarity. What happens when you finally get it? When we finally figure out, yes, this is why I'm here. This is why I was placed on this beautiful blue ball. This is what I'm supposed to do with my life and nothing else. This is it. I'm telling you, this is it. That moment will, if you haven't had that yet, if you still have a cloud over you or around you or inside your head, if you're still, Ali was there. She used to have 10 priorities. Now she has 2. Are the clouds starting to part a little bit, Ali? You're starting to see a little bit of sunlight peeking through? You see what I'm saying? That moment, I got to tell you, when it happened for me, not only I can relate to the feeling of relief, Suzanne. Finally, I know. And it wasn't just that. It was clarity. And it also gave an enormous organizing sense of perspective, because it explained in that moment, I had the explanation for everything that has happened in my life, everything that I've done, every direction I've taken. And it also explains about 99% of what's been happening in my life in the last couple of years. It's all been preparing me for this moment. Well, I know. And I'm sure there's some of that with you as well, Suzanne. Like, oh yeah, that conversation I had with that person and that experience, yeah, it didn't seem quite so cool at the time, but now I understand. Oh my goodness, and listen, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, from all of us, when that moment hits for you. Ego, good afternoon, I should say, to you
Hi.
in the U of
My
K.
video.
How's it?
Yes. Yeah. Amazing topic, which really resonates. And something I'd like to add is most of us, most human beings actually want fulfillment in anything they do, right? And I sometimes feel that we get caught up in comfort and security, for example. We're going around in circles and we're trying to chase chase the fulfillment. However, by having that clarity that, Suzanne talked about, we place ourselves in a place where we see our purpose, right? So of course we have to find our purpose and live. And by finding that, you then move from that place of security and comfort to a place of purpose and fulfillment. And that really kind of drives us, right? So, and that's how I like to live. I want to know what my purpose is. I know what my purpose is. And on a daily basis, I'm taking steps to ensure that I'm fulfilled in that purpose. And that purpose is still very relevant, right? It in service to others and, everything else that I'm doing. And one motto I kind of live by is, or something I say a lot, I quote it in, like emails and maybe my headers in, social media, is, I live the life I love and love the life I live, right? So yes, there's bucket lists, but there's nothing on that list that's beyond my reach, because I believe that I will get it. I will do it. If there's somewhere I need to go, as I achieve it, I move on to the next. So I don't believe that there's anything that's beyond my reach. It may go on that list, so I keep sight of it. However, it's never a wish list. I don't have a wish list. I have a list of like a reminder of things to do, places to go, and I never just really believe that any of it is unattainable. If I add it to the list, it doesn't matter what it is, it gets done, right? So, and it's coming back to your point of, finding, not dying before death, basically. Why are we doing that? Just live anyway. Love the life you live and live the life you love. There's nothing stopping us. It's in our hands, really. Right?
There is nothing,
Come up for me.
there is nothing in this world that can stop you.
Nothing.
There is nothing that exists that can stop you. I love it. Ego, powerhouse, words. Thank you so much. I'm always inspired by Ego because, and this is a lesson to us all. What inspires me about Ego is not her smarts, although she's got plenty of those. It's not her beauty, although, for crying out loud, look. It's what she has overcome to become who she is. Oh my goodness. I ain't got no problems. You know what I'm saying? There are certain people to whom I look and I say, okay, I'm looking at this person's life and their challenges, the problems, the real failures that they've had to learn and come through and overcome. And I ain't got no problems. Compared to that, I'm good. Now let's go get something done. Ego inspires me to think, yep, you know what? Let's go get something done. Nice. Thank you, Ego. Thank you. And I am looking around and I am marveling at the growth that I am seeing and have seen with so many of us here. I'm going to call somebody out. I'm not going to ask for a comment or, unless the desire is there to speak. But somebody who really impresses me is Lindsay Dollar. My friend, the money mama. Lindsay impresses me because, how can I put this? Lindsay, you are not the same woman that I met a year ago or whenever it was when we first started, hanging out here in the mastermind and first met you through this, that, and the other venture and enterprise. Well, quite possibly the greatest courage that most of us who live with first world problems will ever need to display, will ever need to put to use, is the courage to change who we are. The courage to look ourselves in the mirror and say, Glenn, who you are right now ain't working. You need to become different. And that is not an easy conversation to have. Lindsay, you have had that conversation. I can tell because of how much you have changed and grown as a businesswoman, as a leader, as an entrepreneur in this. And I know that a big part of getting you to where you are has been hanging out with this dude, Lavinia. And the rest of us here in the mastermind. And I mentioned Lindsay, and I could make the comments about Cyril or Mandy or Evelyn, Melinda's Madam Chop Chop, and Ivier. Holy smokes, Julia. We could go around the room, and each of us could give a testimonial of how we have changed and how we have grown. In great measure, because we've had the courage to have the conversation with that person in the mirror and said, you need to change. Yeah, change what you do, sure. Change your strategy, change your tactics, change your product, change your vendor. Change who you are. That is the greatest challenge any of us will ever face, is to change, purposefully change who we are. Because as John has said to us so many times, what work we do and how we do it matters not nearly so much as who is doing the work. And boy, have we gone off in a tangent. Well, actually, not really. Because that moment of realization that what we do and how we do it's not so important as who's doing it, this brings us right back, doesn't it, to our purpose, to figuring out why we're here. And once we get that, quite literally, the rest of it is a whole lot easier, a whole lot simpler. Julia, how do you do? How do you do?
I do well, thank you. You've given me a lot to think about today, Glenn. Thank you. I think my purpose has evolved somewhat throughout my life. I've been an educator my entire life until the last 10, 15 years probably. Educator, writer, editor, that sort of thing. But what drove me in almost every job I've had, but certainly every job that I've appreciated and felt fulfilled in, was that I was bringing value to other people. So whether I was teaching elementary school or I was working in an educational publishing company or running a nonprofit, I always felt in those jobs that my work was benefiting others. And most recently in the work that we've been doing as franchise owners in with neighborhood magazines, it hasn't been teaching, but it's been connecting and community building. And so that's where I've kind of diverted, but that's been a very big purpose in my life and my husband's life for the last few years. So I don't know that I would say that I have only ever had one purpose. But what's kind of fun about the product that I've got with the puzzles is it combines the love of teaching, because there's a science aspect to it, science, math, and all that STEAM stuff, with the love of connecting and community building, because the idea behind doing puzzles with other people is to have a conversation and to get to know each other as you're doing this task that isn't necessarily mindless. I mean, you're building your brain as you go, but I feel like having this product has enabled me to sort of combine those two life purposes. Because like you, Glenn, Joe and I both are connectors. We love to introduce folks to others and find the synergy and all that stuff. But we also want to help build friendships and build families by creating an opportunity for communication. So thank you for letting me think that through, because it took a little while. And I think maybe that's part of why it took us, maybe others are in the same situation too, but you have to process what you've been saying and give us some time to come up with how to respond. So thank you for your patience as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A friend of mine used to say, one of the keys to a good conversation is to have that patience to wait and listen, so that let the other person's complete thought flow out. Sounds like you and I have some things in common, Julia, in terms of that desire to connect, that desire to communicate, to start conversations. To me, there's almost nothing on earth more fun than starting a new conversation with a new person. And that power of connection between people is just magic, isn't it? Let us know how it goes. I've evolving purposes. I like that. As we change, maybe our purpose will change as well. And that's good news. Toba and then Janet. How are you? Toba, what's going on, sir?
Yeah. Hi, Glenn. Thank you very much. This is a very important topic. And is actually what I've been dwelling on for a while now, just to find my purpose, to be honest. And I have a lot of items on that bucket list. And so to sieve it through and get the real purpose, that has actually been my challenge. You know, I've subjected it to so many criteria. And one of the criteria is, what are those things that I love doing? those things that give me a sense of fulfillment when I do it?
Yes.
And then what are those things that keep me awake at night that I think about a lot? What are the things that I do effortlessly and put me in the zone when I do them? Then I explore my interests as well. What are the interests that I have? I've heard that your passion actually is for you and your purpose is for others. So your passion actually can lead you to your purpose. So I've been narrowing it down, but I haven't actually figured it out. I still have about 2 or 3 items and I'm still working on it. Is there anything you think I can still look at that will help me in this journey to find my purpose?
I think you're, and thank you for your question, Toba. I think you are very much on the right track in talking about, in thinking about the things that you enjoyed, the things that we enjoy doing now, the things that are currently our cue for passion. You see, the things that light us up, the things that, you know, whatever it is that I'm doing, if I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning and get back to it, that's a clue.
Okay.
And taking all of those things into account. And I know, listen, someone else has the idea. I certainly have no monopoly on this wisdom. I do think that what you're saying about taking the totality of what I'm currently doing, what I currently enjoy, what currently lights me up, there's a clue. There are clues somewhere in each of those activities to see. For me, singing for me and entertaining has been, yes, it's something I'm good at and it's something I really enjoy doing. And the clue for me in singing and being a singer and musician and entertainer was in the fact that for me, my favorite part of the show is the connection, the link of power between me and my audience, between me as the entertainer and every person in the audience. That connection, that's the thing that I've always been hungry for. Every moment on stage, connecting so that we could then communicate the song, communicate the message and the power behind it. So that was the clue, connecting. And you will find as you roll through your different activities and the hobbies and your interest, you'll find a clue in there somewhere. In each of those things, if you can find the common thread of what lights you up and gives you the impression of increase of life in everything that you do, that may very well lead you to your highest purpose. Passion for yourself leads you to your purpose for others. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Janet and then Nicola, we're right down the home stretch here, last few minutes. Janet, what's on your mind, ma'am?
Hello, Glenn. Well, thank you for this and for everybody else, because I'm realizing, well, one of my purposes is to bring joy to other people, to light them up, to make them feel better and happier and fulfilled. And one of the ways I do that is through my teaching. And I realize now when people are talking about community building, yes, that's what I've been doing since I've been teaching online, is to try to is to help people feel good about each other and being together. Yes, I'm teaching calligraphy, but it's about shared passion. It's about joy. It's about, it's so life affirming to see each other, those who have been in person and those who have joined since then. Mm-hmm. To see the faces and hear the things about each other is really life affirming right now. We need it right now. And I can see how, and people have given me feedback. My students will email me, and it's about really building community, a sense of being together. And I can see even more through this morning's conversations that, yeah, that's one of the things that it's about: connecting people, connecting joy. And my other one is healing, and I am on that path. I'm training more, I'm working more. It's something that I do naturally. You know, yes, I want to have it as an income stream, and learning to do that online and learning how to ask for money is is something I'm working on. But I do it naturally, and it's funny that sometimes I'm in doctor's offices and there's someone who needs something, and I just offer it to them quite naturally. You know, not for any reason, but because I'm there and they're there and there's a need. But these are things, and so in looking at if I'm in the marketplace, what will be my purpose, or what will I find most joy in, and it might be a small population, it may not be a large population, but it's to spread the things that I do and I know. So I'm now able to work on creating courses that people can buy off of a website, and it will be creating product, perhaps putting together kits that people can buy, and it's all there for them. John said many months ago about a kit, and if it's all there for you and you don't have to do all this assembling, wow, that's what he goes for. And that's one of the things that I have been actively thinking, what would be in that kit? How would I present it? How would it bring joy to people? How will it give them something meaningful to do? You know, not just a busy work, but give them something that will bring joy to them. And so those are all things that I'm working on, and things that I'm moving toward. And you know, you're so right, Glenn, that when you see these things, when you have purpose, you do get out of bed in the morning because you have something that you need to get done that day, that you want to do, that fulfills your purpose. So yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Glenn.
Janet, I'm getting excited thinking about this, a one-stop turnkey solution for joy. You're like putting together a kit that just makes people happy. I love that. Thank you. Please I would love to see the progress as you're developing this sort of all-in-one kind of package for. That's wonderful. That is great stuff. Can't wait. I think we're going to wrap up with our good friend Nicola, and let's hear it. Nicola, what's on your mind? Let me hear.
Hello. This was just in response to Toba's question, just about, it's just probably another way of looking at what kind of how you know you've found your purpose. And I always tend to take notice of it from an energetic perspective. So it's pretty much everything you've described there, but it's just another way of looking at when you're doing something, an activity, start to be really conscious of what it's doing energetically. So is it raising your energy? Is it giving you energy? Does it feel free flowing? Do you feel uplifted when you've finished doing that activity? Do you feel like you could do it, you know, pulling every year, and you don't sleep, you just continue to do it because it continues to energize you? That's your passion. That's your purpose. That's the lane that you want to be in, because it just feels effortless. If on the other hand, and we probably all got examples of where we know both ends of the spectrum, but if on the other hand you feel drained by something, it zaps your energy, you feel tired when you're doing it, it's giving you a headache when you're doing it, well, that's your energy going in the wrong direction in your body. It's not raising you, it's not lifting you, it's dragging you down, and it's going in the opposite direction. And you tend to need to have breaks from it to refuel and recharge. Well, that's not going to be your passion. That's not what your soul is asking you to do, because it certainly wouldn't be making you feel that way. So it's just another perspective to look at it. And if you start to tune into that, I think we all know which things raise our energy upwards, which things drain our energy. But that's one way, I think, to kind of tell where your soul is guiding you to go.
Genius. I'm telling you. Does it lift you to do it? Is it the sort of thing where you get so wrapped up in it that you forget to eat? Yeah. Pay attention to that. It's a clue. Thank you so much, Nicola. You know, that is seriously, agreed, Toba, is seriously very instructive. Pay attention to that. And that was, boy, that was something I'll take with me. Thank you for reminding me, for bringing that up to the front of my attention, Nicola. Thank you.
No problem.
Energy, energy, energy. Where's it going? Listen, we are right at the top of the hour, and I am so excited to have spent this time chatting with you. And you know, I'm one of these people. You know, I have ADD, so I'm talking with you, and I'm also kind of glancing over at the chat, and there's some wonderful stuff in there. Wonderful comments that people are making. So glad that you have had the hour with us. Remember, it is Hospitality Suite, Books for Britain at 3 Eastern, Life and Business Tools with Adrian at 6 Eastern, and then I'm back with you this evening. The Go Giver and I will see you at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all so much. Hope you have I was about to say, have a great day. Make it a great day. You have the power in your hands. See you all very soon. Bye for now.